Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of FPL Fan Zone. My name's Nick and in today's episode we are going to compare my first draft to a draft being built by Data and then a draft being built by Fantasy Football Hub's AI platform. So obviously new season is just less than a week away now, so the FPL Fan Zone league code is up on the screen. It is 0EEE9Z. Feel free to join. The winner will get a Premier League shirt of their choice sent to them. Last year's winner got an Arsenal shirt sent out to them at the end of the season. So if you're new around here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell for updates throughout the season. But without further ado, let's get started. So first up, let's have a look at the Data team. When FPL opened, I tried playing around creating a team, but hadn't really given a lot of thought to all of the different variations. So I plugged in a simple knapsack scenario, which takes the player's price and last year's points. I ran that through a short script, and this gave me the different variables of the best possible 15 for points, given the variables of I need a 15-man squad, I need 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 attackers. On that as well. So the script did its thing, and this was the best 15 based on points last season, given their prices for this season as well. So just reading that off, we've got Pickford in goal, Aina, Munoz and Wan-Bissaka in defence. In midfield, we've got Iwobi, Salah, Umbremo and Murphy. And then up front, we've got Bowen, Wissa and Wood. And then on the bench, we've got Sells, Sarr, Collins and Gahey. Now, overall, I quite like the balance of this squad. A couple of things that it doesn't take into consideration. One, obviously the fixtures for the first 5 or 6 games of the season. It doesn't take into consideration players that have changed teams. So, for example, Umbremo was on penalties last season, but now he's at Manchester United. He's not likely to have penalties. It doesn't take into consideration position changes. So, for example, Bowen is now a forward this year, which means he's getting 1 point less per goal than he was getting last season. So while I quite like the balance of this team and overall it looks pretty good, there's a lot of things there that weren't taken into consideration. It was just a quick solution to get a starting team in for the season. On that as well. So I then plugged this team into the Fantasy Football Hub AI calculator. It gave the team rating of 89%, a predicted game week 1 score of 59.3, and an overall game week rating of 84%. So with no money in the bank, it's a solid team. But do I think it's perfect? Absolutely not. As I said, there was lots of things that weren't taken into consideration in that initial run through for the Data. But overall, I quite like the team. I think there's too much weight in the goalkeepers there. I did also run a scenario that just gave me the best 11 and then the cheapest possible bench, which was a little bit more interesting, but obviously no variation for using bench players or rotation, especially over the first couple of weeks. So this was the team that I started with. But it was based on Data. Next up, I asked Fantasy Football Hub's AI platform to pick its game week 1 team, or they call it the wildcard team on that as well. They started with Alisson in goal, Milenkovic, Porro and Van der Ven. In midfield, they've got Tielemans, Salah, Saka, Fernandes and Minter. And then up front, they've got Watkins and Wood. And then on the bench, they've got Dubravka, Raniedel, I'm probably saying that one wrong, Richards from Crystal Palace, and then Guiu, who's now at Sunderland, but still showing as a Chelsea shirt there as well. So when I look at this particular team, I really like the midfield 3 of Salah, Saka and Fernandes. I think that's great. The front 2, Watkins and Wood, fantastic as well. Wood obviously gives you variance to be able to change to any of those sort of 7.5 midfielders. With Tielemans and Minter, personally I don't see it myself. I would assume there's some defensive contribution points taken there, but the biggest concern for me is having 2 Tottenham defenders. Given how bad Tottenham were at defending last season and the fact that they finished 17th in the league, I know they've got a good run of fixtures at the start, but I just cannot bring myself to put two Tottenham defenders in my starting 11, given how bad they were last season. So with that in mind, the AI team, obviously because it's its own algorithm, it classified the team rating as 98%, the game week rating of 98%, and a predicted points in game week 1 of 69, with $0 in the bank. So overall, it looks like a strong team. For me, I probably wouldn't buy Alisson as a goalkeeper. I just don't think he's going to get enough saves to get the extra points there. You're better off picking someone like a Pickford or a Sales. There's not a lot of cover on this bench at all, so if anyone is injured, there's no room for rotation here as well. And then, as I said, apart from the three strong midfielders, the other two don't really excite me as ones to watch throughout the season as well. So I don't mind the team, but it doesn't scream to me as one that I would pick for game week 1. So let's have a quick look then at how does my team compare, looking at where I currently stand for game week 1. So I've got Pickford in goal with Leeds away, Milenkovic and Murillo, both Brentford at home. Now the reason I think that's a good fixture is that with Brentford, Mbeumo has gone. Wissa is now looking like potentially leaving, so his head may be turned. I feel like there's not as much strength in that attack right now, so it could be a good defensive fixture. Then I've got Wan-Bissaka, who has Sunderland away, first game, so it's a promoted side. I feel like there could be some clean sheets there. In midfield, I've gone with Salah, who he was so good last season. I know he's the most expensive player in the game this season, but I do think that it's crazy not to have him at this stage. It's easier to move down than it is to move up. I've got Fernandes at the moment. I just think that when I look at that Manchester United attack now, especially with the announcement of Sesko joining as well, they've got Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko. I just feel there's an outlet for Fernandes to be able to get the ball and get those assists, but also penalties. He's still going to be on penalties. So he scored highly despite starting slowly last season and Manchester United being very poor. I think with the attack options that they've got now, he could be a great asset this season. So right now he's in my team. Then I've got Ndai, who is the penalty taker for Everton. They got Leeds away, first game of the season. Also that sort of 6.5 range where there's options to move around for some of the others. And then Baliba, who may potentially be on the move. There's lots of talks of him potentially moving. But I looked at his numbers last year in terms of defensive contributions, and he averaged over 10 per game across the season, which would have given him an extra 64 points. And at 5 million and 140 points, it just feels like a potential great buy for this season. So he's in there at the moment. Normally he'd sit on the bench, but the AI predictor has got him getting more points than Iwobi, who's sitting on my bench at the moment. And then up front, I've got Watkins, Wood and Strand Larsen. Again, Wood could be a placeholder for any of the 7.5s. Watkins gives me the option to move to Gyökeres or Ekitike if they start the season very, very well. And then Strand Larsen, obviously, I feel as the now main striker at Wolves, could be a great option for that as well. So, and then on the bench, I've got Kelleher. I think it's a great option. Iwobi was really good last season in terms of goals and assists. I've got Munoz and Gahey, who both have Chelsea away in the first game of the season. So, but obviously you can rotate in for Wan-Bissaka when their fixtures become a little bit easier as well. So overall, I like the balance of this squad. I think it gives me options to choose between Baleba, Strand Larsen and Iwobi each week in my attack. I think the others will all kind of sit there. With defence, I've got to switch between Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, or Wan-Bissaka there as well. So there's just lots of variance in being able to move the players around and cover each other for good fixtures and bad fixtures as well. The team rating on AI gives me a 94% overall rating, 92% game week rating, and a 64.3 points for game week 1. So this is where it currently stands. Obviously I'll play around with this a little bit more as I look at sort of fixture rotations and teams, but this is where currently my first draft sits for game week 1. Let me know in the comments below, who are you having this year? Are you going for Haaland? I feel like I should have Salah and Haaland, and I will do a draft including both of those for a video middle of this week. Having both means you've got the option to move down. As I said, moving up to Haaland if he starts well is going to be really difficult with this particular team, so I'd have to kind of almost pull the wild card early if I needed to bring Haaland in. Whereas if I start with him, moving it down is a lot easier on that as well. So that's probably my biggest fear at this stage. And then also I've got no 6 million defenders as well. So Gvardiol, Van Dijk, Saliba, you've got Ait Nouri, you've got some of the others there that look quite exciting as options as well. So let me know in the comments below what you think of my first draft, what you're doing with your team for the first few fixtures, and any areas where you feel that I could improve. Once again, big thank you for watching FPL Fan Zone. Thank you for getting this far into the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and may all of your arrows be green.